Yo, I was reading my Substack, and I was like reading it in my head. I'm like, oh, I feel like I sound really smart. Blah blah blah. Also, my friend Ryan was like, bro, it's interesting how hearing you talk differently than when you talk on speaking on here is like very surprising. I was like, damn, bro, like that's pretty cool. And I'm like, yo, I started this articulation playlist, not playlist. I think it's called Reading Aloud because I want to work on my articulation. And I saw Kai Cenat because I saw it from Kai Cenat. I seen that he he was working on his articulation by reading things out loud. So I was like, damn, this is so damn, bro. I want to fix that, bro. This bro should shut, bro. Fuck. Um, but pretty much, I want to read this and then speak like how I write, and then become more articulated. This is my first time doing this, so I'm a little, but I'll get used to it. I know that. So use your personality as a source of resilience and confidence. I added a part of my journal to show how fulfilling it can be to understand your personality and the inspiration that you can draw from introspection. Okay, December 11th, 2020, 2025 at 11:01 a.m. DC Library. I just finished my psych exam. I missed my bus and I walked back to the library because I wanted to write down how I'm feeling. I have another exam in a few hours that I should be studying for, but I'll get to that after this. I felt so accomplished during my exam when I gave a second thought to the fact that I was writing about my successes as my own client. I wrote about how I was able to work on some of the personality traits that I thought were permanent, and I was able to see how I overcame them. I was writing my own redemptive story. I was writing about becoming who I aspired to be and showing myself proof of my progress with correlations and research supported advice that I had followed. This class made me realize that living by your authentic identity and therefore becoming confident and happy with your purpose is a feeling that I want to generate for others. My prof mentioned during a lecture that journaling in the third person fosters wisdom, and the exam format was a 2,000 word essay written from memory, written in the third person about myself. This is what made the exam such a rewarding experience to complete. The first section was writing about how I can make a person's personality thrive, and the second section was writing about how you have unconsciously been working on thriving your own personality. Memorize how you did it and write it down to finish the course. Being able to see a change in my neuroticism made me realize the power I have over my own life. The field of psychology is truly a life of introspection. Understanding your personality will make you happier, more successful, and less anxious. If you want proof, I got that for you. Relationships are difficult because personalities are so diverse. We have different goals, traits, values, and we have different experiences that lead to further differentiation. We can become less defensive and more understanding during relational difficulties when we understand our own house of personality. The house of personality consists of 3 floors and 3 rooms per floor. The bottom floor represents our biological needs and personality traits. The middle floor represents our personal goals, and the top floor represents our abstract values. Across all 3 floors are 3 rooms which represent the fulfillment of our 3 basic human needs for autonomy, relatedness, and competence. Personal integrity means maintaining attention to each room on each floor. This isn't easy because our top floor values typically conflict with our bottom floor desires and traits. The failure to fulfill the need in any of the rooms causes uncertainty and anxiety. A clear understanding of what to value in your top floor will lead to a harmonious maintenance of all rooms across your personality. And this remains true even in the absence of bottom floor fulfillment. Relating with others who have different realities from us can cause uncertainty about whether our top floor values are correct. Relationships require resilience to navigate the uncertainty that others' realities bring into our lives. Having integrity across your personality requires being secure in your identity. To become secure, we must give difficult thought to our top floor values. I describe this process as difficult because it requires us to try things out and consider that we are wrong. Only through experiencing an identity crisis and persisting through the process can an authentic identity emerge. An authentic identity provides integrity across the personality, and reflecting on your identity then becomes a stable source of resilience and confidence. Being secure in your identity allows one to navigate relationship uncertainty with a clear mind, with a mind clear of defensiveness. Damn, so mind clear. During this personality psychology course, one of the topics that stood out to me the most were these two motivational modes: BIS, behavioral inhibition system, and BAS, behavioral approach system. These brain modules are what allow us to effectively pursue goals. BIS is activated when the anterior cingulate cortex detects uncertainties in our pursuit of a goal. This signals the brain to start looking for alternative solutions to the goal. So I'm starting to realize when I'm thinking about other things, I stumble and like I was like, damn, I just like forgot where I was. But I literally wrote about when you like start thinking about other stuff that you like lack and whatever, then your mind goes elsewhere, and like I'm seeing that right now. Um, see, like I just did it a lot, and now I lost where I am. But oh, I didn't talk about the fire. I know that. Okay. Alternative solutions to the goal. Imagine that you are stuck in a confusing maze and your goal is to escape, but there is a fire in your path. The ACC detects that there is a conflict impeding your goal and automatically signals BIS to scan for alternative solutions to escape. BIS activation is important because if your BAS system remained activated instead, you would walk right through the fire because you didn't see any obstacles. BIS activation prevents overconfidence and delusion. This overactivation is also a bad thing because it can lead to withdrawal. If your brain is constantly thinking of alternative solutions, then you are anxious. But if you never find a solution to your problem, your BIS activation will persist. To cope with the constant BIS activation, your brain will either withdraw or resort to a personality extreme. For personality to thrive, there needs to be a balance between the activation of both BIS and BAS. I found it interesting how defensive extremes can arise. If the solution to a goal can't be found, some people will respond to the stress by exaggeratedly and rigidly locking into something. Let's go, bro. These responses temporarily provide relief from the BIS related stress, but they erode your relationships and provide more anxiety by living an inauthentic life. People go to extremes to cope and unknowingly defend themselves with repression. Get power. Consider movies where the villain is stopped by their guilt and regret for their selfish ways. Their backstory always includes a tragic situation in which they had no power, leaving them vulnerable to coping by using a superiority complex. Superiority complex. Superiority complex. Developing a sense of one's own power is crucial to preventing narcissism and cynicism. We can find ourselves relying on fragile confidence that is rooted in defensiveness. The concept of splitting and insecure people shows how defensive extremes cause conflict within oneself. Splitting describes the discrepancy between the real self and the defensive maintenance of an unrealistically positive self image. Let me read that one more time. That's good. Splitting describes the discrepancy between the real self and the defensive maintenance of an unrealistically positive self image. See, I gotta make that more concise, but it's still good, but make that more concise. The ideal self is subjected to grandiose ideals that the insecure person feels are required for them to be loved and valued. This means that they chase a rigid and defensive search for so that they can feel worthy of love. When they feel close to their ideal self, they feel ecstatic. But when reality breaks down their unrealistic image of themselves and shows their human limitations, they feel worthless. Mm. Understanding oneself minimizes the splitting conflict between one's inner vulnerability and outer image. A superiority complex is unstable because it is not socially supported. It is anxiety inducing to maintain a fake personality. It is easier to activate BAS by feeling superior to others rather than following an abstract top floor ideal. Anger, aggression, and revenge are BAS linked pleasures because they cause one to approach. And for many people, these are automatic reactions to social pain. Social pain, which can come from rejection and ostracization. See, that's the word I want to get. Ostracization. Social pain, which can come from rejection and ostracization, is processed by ACC. Our process. I like, bro, that's okay. Which is also in charge of mediating the experience of pain. Furthermore, a study showed that acetaminophen could be used as a painkiller for social pain. This goes to show how real social pain is. Look at examples like the Grinch. I like that one. Who turned cold and callous after being rejected socially. Imagine the social pain experienced by children who didn't receive affection from those whom they should expect it from, like their caregivers. Without the security of love and acceptance, people cannot grow the courage to explore, and instead of realizing their own power in the world, they can become anxious and hostile. People who are insecure and preoccupied with power show lower empathy and perspective taking, which shows that incorrectly coping with their insecurities corrodes interpersonal relationships and therefore one's well-being. Alfred Adler was the first psychologist to recognize that people have a healthy need to exercise power. He encouraged children to develop personal power towards social interests by being givers. This helped kids avoid corroding their relationships by some. This is a word I need to get, and I want to get this. This helped kids avoid corroding their relationships by supplanting. See. Why did I stop myself before trying, bro? Let's go. Supplanting. This helped kids avoid corroding their relationships by supplanting inferiority and superiority complexes by helping each other. Power gives people courage that can go in both directions, towards self enhancement or self transcendence. Focusing your personal power towards empathy, generosity, and gratitude can focus your power into strengthening your interpersonal relationships and bring greater life satisfaction. And bring greater life satisfaction. Bro, I'm thinking about something. Erickson's stages of psychosocial development theory are, see, I look, just put this in there now that I'm thinking about this. One must fulfill their trust, autonomy, and initiative during the first three stages. See, I didn't like need to add this. I'm thinking about it. Then their middle tier power must be fulfilled during stage four. I mean, I did add it for a reason. Which with that power, they can courageously explore identity. Stage five. By choosing an authentic identity, they can create generativity and love. Stages six to seven. Which one is free from self preoccupation by virtue, then they can unlock wise reasoning and resilience. Resilience. Even when our lower tier needs are conflicted, we can look towards our meaning slash identity and be eased from anxiety even with conflicts in our personality house. Therefore, it doesn't need to work exactly like Erickson's stages. We can follow a virtuous ideal, example being a giver. In the absence of some of the earlier stages, stage tiers, love and power, damn, and eventually those will become, in the absence of some of those earlier stages, examples are love and power, um, and eventually those will become fulfilled by the pursuit of virtue. See, bro, I'm getting lost because I'm thinking about some other shit, bro. Let me restart that. Even when our lower tier needs Even when our lower tier needs are conflicted, we can look towards our meaning slash identity and be eased from anxiety, even with conflicts in our personality house. Therefore, it doesn't need to work exactly like Erickson stages. See, I don't even know when, like, what a semicolon does, bro. Like, I low-key just, like, grammarly said semicolon. Okay, I'm gonna add that. I gotta learn what a semicolon really does, bro. We can follow a virtuous ideal. In the absence of some of the earlier stages, stage tiers, I should have just said stages, whatever. And eventually those will become fulfilled by the pursuit of virtue. Consider the perspective of a cynical person who doubts that individual actions can genuinely improve the world. If that person sees themselves donating food to others, they can realize that they do have the power to make an impact in this world by making others happier. There's always a temptation to develop a superiority complex as a coping response, bro. Yo, now that I'm thinking about this, this is like I'm really glad that, cause I'm not gonna lie, what happens is I'll like I put a lot of like thoughts to be like, okay, I'm gonna write about this, I'm gonna write about this, like different thoughts. but some just don't stick. Like I don't think about it. I'm not like, okay, let me actually like look into it. Let me actually like start writing like a little like just let me start writing anything, you know? But then some topics like do hit me and I'm like, okay, I really want to come back to this. I really want to like prove to myself that I'm like I'm gonna write this, you know? So that's interesting. December 19th, 2025 at 12:54 p.m. on the drive to Michigan, across the border. Oh wait, I didn't say this. Instead, we should try to devote our power to being givers, bro. Ryan is so funny, bro. This guy's this guy's it's not I like I'm pretty sure it's go-karting, but it's like fast, bro. It's super fast, bro. But he does this stuff. He does this stuff, man. Um, Being passionate about a goal blocks the mind from distractions. This is called goal shielding. Your brain is so locked in the pursuit of a specific goal that the thought of distractions doesn't even occur. Goal shielding, brackets, persistent fast activation, shields the brain from registering cues of goals competing for your attention. Interestingly, your brain subconsciously registers environmental cues of incomplete goals, and you find yourself unfocused. See, bro, unfocused and wondering how you began thinking about something completely unrelated. I just think it's ironic, bro. I'm getting distracted by talking about my distractedness. Um, this put into perspective for me how difficult it is for kids going through household conflicts to succeed in school. It's hard to focus on schoolwork when you have thoughts of conflicts that are easily triggered by environmental cues. The frustration from schoolwork adds to persistent misactivation and therefore distractedness. Learning the science between true self control and grit helped me become more self compassionate. I wrote about this in my exam preparation, which I attached to the end of this post, and I saw how important building self compassion is to staying motivated. True self control isn't unlocked through willpower, but rather through goal shielding from superordinate rules. Self control failure arises from the brain's tendency to seek the quickest relief from misactivation. Reactive approach motivation is when our brains relieve activation by impulsively turning to habits that activate BAS, therefore turning off activation. Focusing on your long-term goals, bro. My brain is so elsewhere, bro. It's because it's been 17 minutes. I was like, no way this is gonna take 17 minutes. And my shower's running, so I'm like, I need to go take a shower. But focusing on your long-term goals, focusing on your long-term goals that are consistent with your values provides a stable source of relief from this and therefore allows you to unlock effortless self control. My prof provided an Excel sheet of correlations between personality traits. Interestingly, all the desirable personality traits that contributes to success positively correlated with BAS drive. You are more successful when you are more BAS driven because you have better self control, generativity, and wisdom. I took some time to think about why I chose these traits to describe being successful. I see these traits as steps to self actualization. If I can improve my self control by chasing my top tier values, generativity, then I can eventually achieve wisdom. Wisdom requires wise reasoning, which allows one to move freely into others' perspectives without being defensive. I think defensiveness is something that makes us human. It's impossible to be bulletproof against everything the world offers. Regardless, we should try our best to foster wise reasoning and therefore be more accommodating of others. Wise reasoning has a double positive impact on us because it allows us to fulfill our basic human needs within our personality house and also allows us to contribute to a pro social purpose. I found goal shielding interesting because I naturally connected it to religion. If you can commit to virtuous ideals, you can find peace within your goal shielding. And that is a common theme among religions. I found this inspiring because of the people I grew up around in church. Churches serve the community through charity. I remember being a part of the food drive and the people I met there were some of the nicest people I've met. It was fun. I remember feeling like a superhero. Lol. I noticed that those contributing to charities made others smile. These people radiated positivity and made smiling courageous. Their seeming resilience, confidence, and positivity came from the realization that they were contributing to a pro-social goal. Bro, I wrote a lot, bro. Fuck. Okay, pro-social goals are self-transcendent goals. Like I want to be out there instead. Okay, let me see how much I got left. Pro-social goals right there. Pro-social, pro-social, pro-social. I got hella, bro. Yo, I can't lie. It's actually been 20 minutes, 25 seconds. I'm gonna say like the same stuff. I could come back to it too, but I'm trying to be living in the present, and I'm making my friends late by not taking a shower. So,